Bonjour tout le monde! Today we're going to learn about les questions en français, how to ask questions in French. There are three primary ways to ask questions. The first is est-ce, the second is inversion, and the third is using inflection or punctuation depending on if you are speaking or writing. Est-ce is going to translate to do or does in English. Est-ce is basically a sentence phrase. If you put this before a statement, it makes it a question. So all you do, you put est-ce before your sentence, turns it into a question, and it's used mostly in writing. So if you see, we have the statement, elle aime les chats, she likes cats, okay? To make this a question, all we have to do is we take est-ce and put it before our statement, elle aime les chats. So it turns into, est-ce qu'elle aime les chats? Does she like cats? Before we had she likes cats, now we have does she like cats? Est-ce qu'elle aime les chats? Also note that when your subject starts with a vowel, you're going to contract que and your subject, okay? So here we have est-ce qu'elle aime les chats, okay? We took our Q-U-E, we got rid of the E and replaced it with an apostrophe and mushed it up against elle because elle starts with a vowel. This is the same thing that we do with je and any verb that starts with a vowel because we don't want to have too many vowels up next to each other. So it turns into, est-ce qu'elle aime les chats? Does she like cats? Our next way to ask a question is inversion. You're making a sentence into a question by switching the order of the subject and the verb. We do this in English. So if we have, it is sunny outside, that's a statement, it is sunny outside. But to make it a question, we say, is it sunny outside? We took our subject, it, and our verb, is, switched them, and that made it a question. This is used both in writing and speaking, though it's a little bit formal in speaking. In order to invert your subject and your verb, you have to first identify your subject, who or what is doing the action. In our simple sentences in French 1, a lot of times your subject is the first thing in the sentence. So, elle aime les chats was our example before. Elle is our subject because it is her, she is liking the cats. Then you identify your verb. A lot of times it's going to be what comes right after the subject. So, elle aime les chats, elle is our subject, aime is our verb. She's liking cats, is what she's doing. And then we flip the order of that subject and verb and connect them with a hyphen. So if we see, here are our steps. We're going to do it with this sentence, elles sont ennuyeuses. They are boring and they are women. Okay? Our subject is elles. Okay, they are the ones that are being boring. Our verb is sont, because what is being done is being boring. Being is our verb. This comes from to be. Okay, so our verb is sont. And we then switch their order for step 3, and it turns into sont-elles. And then we actually have to connect with a hyphen. You always, always, always have to connect your verb and your subject with a hyphen. Otherwise, your subject will run away and it'll find its own meaning. It will find a different meaning, and that doesn't work very well, okay? So we have sont-elles ennuyeuses? Are they boring? Things to remember about inversion. The first thing is that when your subject ends with a vowel, A, E, I, O, U, H, or Y, and your verb begins with a vowel, A, E, I, O, U, H, or Y, then instead of just doing a dash, we actually have to have dash T dash. And this is for pronunciation purposes. It makes it sound a little bit better. For our example, we have elle aime les lions. We switch the order of elle, our subject, and aime, our verb, and we get aime elle les lions. But that doesn't sound very good. It doesn't flow together very well. So instead of just a hyphen, we need hyphen T hyphen or dash T dash. Aime-t-elle les lions? Does she like lions? Our next thing to remember is that if your subject is a noun, so if you're not given je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, or elle, il, elle plural, then you're given a noun like les étudiants, the students. In order to use inversion with a noun, you have to first restate the noun in your question, replace it with a subject pronoun then, and invert the verb and the subject pronoun, keeping the noun as well. Basically, you're repeating yourself. So for example, we have les hommes aiment l'école. The men like school. Les hommes is our subject, but it's not a subject pronoun. It's actually a noun. So we'll replace it with il because we have plural men, so it's il. Then we restate les hommes, invert our verb and our subject pronoun that we came up with, aiment-il, and then we finish off our sentence, l'école. Les hommes aiment-ils l'école? Men, do they like school? Our last way of asking a question is using intonation in speaking or punctuation in writing. This is the most common way to ask a question in French, in both speaking and writing. A lot of times you won't hear est-ce, or you won't hear that the verb and the subject are inverted. Instead, people will simply use intonation or punctuation in writing. So in speaking, intonation is used to ask a question by raising the tone of your voice at the end of a sentence to indicate that it's a question. We do this in English all the time, okay? So if we say something like, he is nice, or he's nice, okay? We can actually just say, he's nice, and raising the tone of our voice at the end of that sentence makes it a question. And everybody knows that in speaking, okay? So we do the same thing in French. We can take just a simple statement, raise the tone of our voice at the end of the sentence, and it turns it into a question. With punctuation, because nobody can hear the tone of your voice, you simply just put a question mark at the end of a sentence to indicate that it's a question. Very, very easy. So if we have il a un chat, he has a cat. Okay, in writing, you can simply put a question mark instead of a period, and we know that it's a question. If we're going to say that, it would be il a un chat, he has a cat, and there you go. Very easy. Now for your à buffet, what you're going to do is you're going to write in your notes, at the bottom of your notes, you're going to take these sentences and turn them into questions using est-ce que. Then you're going to take the same sentences, turn them into questions using inversion. I will come around and check those when we are in class on Monday, so make sure you've got them. À bientôt!